We Americans come together every year at this time in our public places, in our private halls, to remember those who died serving this country. For 69 years, the Marines Memorial has been holding this service. It's intended to preserve the true meaning of Memorial Day. More than 1 million Americans have died on the battlefields in Guadalcanal, Shiloh, Normandy, Iwo Jima, Korea, Vietnam, Kuwait, Afghanistan, and Iraq, and they continue to fall in Afghanistan and Iraq today. Today we remember them all. Today we confront the true cost of freedom, the true cost of our security. It's the human cost. The Japanese fired 12 and 14-inch shells at the Guadalcanal Marines. Experts will tell you that naval gunfire is the most impactful on the psyche of the brain. And here is what General Vandegrift says about this. Like everyone else on the perimeter, I set out the bombardment, hoping against a direct hit on my dugout. A man comes close to himself at such times. People have since asked me about my attitude towards shell shock or battle fatigue. Being a good Presbyterian, I could only reply, there for the grace of God go I. General Vandegrift goes on to say, this probably requires amplification. Unless the reader has experienced naval or artillery shelling or aerial bombing, he cannot grasp a sensation compounded of frustration, helplessness, fear, and in some cases of close hits, shock. One night quite early in the Guadalcanal campaign, a doctor and a chaplain, both fairly senior, were in my CP discussing combat fatigue. The doctor, this very senior doctor, could not understand it. Look at us, he said. We're much older and we aren't affected by it. The chaplain averred that faith was the true defense. As is my wont when dealing with experts, I kept quiet. That night, a shell from an enemy destroyer burst close to the doctor's dugout. He was not wounded physically, but he was hurt mentally, causing the division surgeon to evacuate him the next day. A week later, a shell struck close to the chaplain's dugout. Again, he was not wounded, but he had to be evacuated the next day. Yes, we must remember them all, even those that commit suicide with combat stress, for they gave their lives for our country.